buildings. Okay, so John, I'm going to skip. Do it.
Maria to receiving, please.
Travis.
Ed Gordon.
Nice to meet you.
Nate. Hi. One Analyst.
You guys must be pretty busy with covering that.
You a little bit of fire keeps us a little bit busy, yeah.
Schedule at the moment was speak to somebody about rail within Tehachapi, and we were interested in going to like the museum, but they're closed.
I can get you in.
Can you?
Well, you know I read the railroad column for the paper.
Do you really?
Yeah, if you look in today's paper, you'll find my column. It would have some other stops in Palmdale and Lancaster and stuff like that that would be advantageous to this whole area. If it goes down to 5, there's nothing there. So that's the big concern around here. And of course, we'd like to have the jobs come through here. I'm going to put you in touch with, let me find his phone number here, Doug Pickard. And Doug probably knows more about what's happening around here than the rest of the world.
This is the 3rd building on this site. The first one burned down in 1904, and the 1904 depot, we finally got the railroad to move out and let us start fixing it up about 5 years ago. And we were just ready to move in 3 years ago, and it caught fire and burned down. I think you'll find in your travels that you go anywhere in the world and you get around people that know about railroads, and you just say Tehachapi, why they either know it, more than likely they've been here. 2 reasons. People are fascinated with the loop, and because the 2 different railroads, the 2 big railroads that are left out west now, UP and BNSF, between Bakersfield and Mojave, they share this one track. Right. So we get twice the amount of traffic. We're at the top of a mountain, so to pull anything over here, they have to use more engines and bigger engines, and so it's a rail fan's paradise here. The guy in that White House right straight ahead of us there, I mean, he bought that property specifically to look over the railroad.
Did he really?
Oh yeah. Yep. And I mean, there are several people along here I know that they have bought just so they can be over the tracks. Well, I think it's going to be all money. Philosophically, I'd like to see it. I'd like the United States to not be so far behind on technology, and I think it would be useful, and I don't know if we'll ever make any money, but I have no idea what they're going to charge and whether they're thinking it's going to be profitable, or I don't know about that. But the big thing is just what it'll take to get it built.
Yeah.
And we had like 20 or 40 permanent employees or something as quote on the staff, and then they put everything out to bid to consultants. Well, you talk about pouring money down a hole. I've been a consultant. So I love this view. I think you could go back 150 years and take down 1 or 2 towers and subtract the road, and that's what it looked like when they were building the railroad.
That's fantastic.
So,
Amazing.
Go on, I'm gonna have to call the sheriff.
Okay, well, if you don't want us to go, we're just asking permission.
Well,
if you don't want us to, then turn around.
They don't want people coming on here. It's posted no trespassing, and they just had somebody break in here last month and steal some stuff from next door. If they were to catch you on there, the rancher drive
Is
up
it
on
Loop
you,
Ranch?
and they would call the sheriff's on you.
It's Loop Ranch, right? Okay, we'll just, do you have the number for Loop Ranch?
I'm sure you can find it in a telephone book or whatever. That the
We're not
leak,
trying to cause
I know
problems.
you weren't. I'm not wanting to be a badass or anything either.
Yeah.
Just that I know that the trailhead that people take is over there at Sand Canyon.
Well, that's not the route
We're
we're
not
going.
But that's where you're headed.
Yeah.
To right up where you can look down onto the loop.
Yeah. And we have permission to camp there.
And it also follows, it looks down on where the high-speed rail is going to be going through.
You want me to give you a ride there? Because I'm going right by there right now. I know that's against your hiking idea, or whatever, but I mean,
All right, man. Well, it kind of puts you in an awkward position, I know, and I'm sorry about that.
but I mean, because that's where I was going. I had to put some mail in the mailbox, and I saw you guys with your backpacks, and I'm thinking,
I know.
those guys are going on the ranch, and they can't.
Yeah.
But
That
I'd
makes
be
sense.
happy to give you guys a ride.
Yeah, it's-
Because that really gives me a complex now that you guys. Because I try and be cool to people from Idaho and Oregon just because how much they hate Californians, and rightfully so. There's a lot of just Californians that just don't get it. But
There's a lot of people who like their trains out here, man.
yeah, that's funny that you brought that up because I was just talking with a friend of mine about it today.
Yeah.
Because you'll see a lot of them around the Loop area,
Yeah.
and the people that actually work for the railroads, they have a name for them. They call them foamers,
Okay.
and they're just completely obsessed with railroads and trains and wanting to jump on a moving train. And well, this place where you guys are gonna spend the night, once I saw that it was for sale, I thought, gosh, if I just had the money, I would build a bed,
Oh, it's a beautiful
bed and
place.
breakfast
Yeah.
right there, and it would be set for life. Because there's people from all over the world that come to look at that.
So I've heard, yeah.
Whenever I was about 8 years old, a cousin of mine, he's like 5 years older than me. He's getting to be a teenager. I'm just 8, and decided to ride our bicycles on this. Take a little trip on our bicycles, and then once we get down here, we decide, oh, well, we're going to go to Keene via the railroad tracks, and we go through all the tunnels, and even the ones that are blind tunnels, and my dad, because he found us on the old road coming home, and man, I got a spanking that.
I've been riding rail fan up here since I was a little kid. It's gone up the trail up there, and you can see the tracks on the other side. Yeah, there you go, that's it. It's pretty awesome. Hey, Bob, so let's go to Mojave, see if there's any thunderstorms, and then, well, let's keep going to Tehachapi. Nice. So we're rail fans of Bald Roader, so we come up here quite often.
So you guys going back to LA today?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, just to see these trains run, it's very impressive. Even if you're not into trains, it's very impressive. And if you are into trains, this is like the mecca for train friends about buying the post office in Caliente and making that into like a bed and breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
And making like an observation deck up on the roof or whatever, so you can sit there. As you can see, this is not a high-speed rail line in any way, shape, or form.
That's one of the downfalls for BSP who built this line.
Yeah, they ran passenger trains over this line until 1971 when Amtrak took over.
Yeah.
And they ran several trains at the height of passenger rail traffic, and then they dwindled off to just one train.
Yeah.
And they quit when Amtrak took over, and they did not want Amtrak running over the track. They wanted to use it for freight only because the passenger trains under any other carrier but them would have slowed down their freight traffic. And
I see.
when Amtrak took over, a lot of the railroads really bent over backwards to make Amtrak's life as difficult as possible.
Right.
They were done with passenger trains. They just wanted to do the freight trains, and they consider them a nuisance.
Yeah.
Going up until the late 50s was the Pacific Electric system. And basically, if you know anything about the history of Southern California, it's spread out the way it is because the railroads had all this land given to them, and they weren't quite sure what to do with it. So they started developing all these little communities, and they needed a way for people to be able to get around. So the network, the Pacific Electric network, was quite extensive. And after World War II ended, people started getting into their automobiles. The passenger business for the PE started declining. And at that point in time, they were building freeways. And if you've ever seen pictures of 1950s era freeways, you have 10 cars in the frame, and there's 15 feet between each car, and you couldn't believe that there was ever a time where there wasn't absolute gridlock on most of the interstates and freeways going through metropolitan Los Angeles. But if they left the PE alone, LA would have had a really supreme, mass rapid transit system.
So all this knowledge of trains has just been accumulated over the years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a hobby for us.
Like I said, I grew up with trains. I've been around trains my whole life, and model trains, and I worked at this railroad museum, and until I got married and had a child, and and didn't have the time, I was a qualified locomotive engineer at the Railroad Museum, so I've run trains too, which is pretty awesome.
Okay.
So anyway, as dynamic braking, as I was explaining about the way the diesel locomotives work, what the traction motors.
I just I'm very curious to see how this high-speed rail works out. You know, I'm a very skeptical person.
I think we're both skeptical.